Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Talking About the Big Stuff podcast with Michael Cole and Matthew Cravat. I am Michael Cole.
And I am Matthew Cravat.
Welcome back, everybody. Tonight is, if you're watching this live, it's the day after the Oscars. If you're not watching this live, it's Friday after the Oscars. And Alex and I have another podcast where we do movie stuff, and we both watched the Oscars as part of that. And I thought, let's talk about the politics side of the Oscars for this, for one simple reason, which was I couldn't think of anything else for tonight's topic because my brain's been on the Oscars. But the Oscars were
it served some good moments,
somewhat political last night. And we can talk about the historical politics of the Oscars as well.
Yeah,
I'm happy to do that. But let's start things off with last night's Oscars. So I apologize if I get things out of order. But the first thing and the most, the thumbnail to this episode is that Javier Bardem came out to present one of the awards with a little sign on his shirt that said "No War" in Spanish, along with, I'm forgetting what was underneath the sign but then his opening statement was "No more wars" and "Free Palestine."
Free Palestine, yeah.
And I thought that was really cool that he went out there and did that. He has been vocal over the last year or so, at least. And he's talked about how it has cost him some opportunities being vocal. What I liked so we'll talk about it in juxtaposition to some other politics stuff that I think it was the most vocal, outspoken, bold moment of the night.
Okay.
And so I think but I also think it didn't seem inappropriate or wild. Priyanka Chopra, who was co-presenting with him, looked a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, he did.
But his message wasn't even like, it wasn't like "fuck Israel" or something. It was "Free Palestine." And I think that there is, while there's a large connection obviously between those two statements, there is there's a distinction. And so he didn't come out saying anything about Israel. He said "Free Palestine." That part of the equation should be not controversial. That doesn't mean that it wasn't bold. It wasn't a brave thing to do. It wasn't taking a stand in a meaningful way. But my point in saying that is that "No wars" should be a non-controversial statement. And "Free Palestine," let these people be free, should not be a controversial stand. Now, how we achieve those things, that there's a lot there. But when you look at someone like P.T. Anderson, his acceptance speech for Best Director, he got a little more political than he has in some of the past speeches. But he made, the reason why I bring him up is he made this overtly political movie.
True.
And the politics of which would seem to me to be uncontroversial in the room he was in. His politics in that movie are very anti-ICE, even if they're not overt, they're not saying anything about ICE specifically, because I don't think it was called ICE in the movie, I forget. But they're talking about immigration reform. They're talking about the way we treat immigrants, the way we treat Black people. These are all thoughts and statements that I don't think are, when you go into the Oscars in 2026, I don't think these are controversial politics. Free Palestine is a more controversial take.
Yeah.
Not only is it bolder of a take, but it's you could get up there and say abolish ICE, fuck ICE, and not really be controversial in that room.
Yeah.
Free Palestine is more so. And that's why I said when I want to juxtapose it, because, PTA wasn't completely disappointing in his speech. His speech was largely we're leaving a mess for the younger kids. And And it's like, well, that's like, that could be said for the last 35 years of politics, like that this generation is going to get handed down something crappier than the generation before it.
Yeah.
So like that, it's just kind of a nothing burger of a take. It's not, I mean, at least he said something, I suppose. But, you know, when you make a movie that's as political as that one is, you expect, you know.
I expected more than Chalamet talking about how shitty opera and ballet is. You know,
right.
I wanted something with a little more grit. Now, look, and actually I was talking to my wife about this because for the other podcast Mike and I work, we were watching the awards live, and that's how we all experience this. And there are no shortage of liberal, well-educated, progressive thinking, open-minded folks who are in the arts. No shocker at all. But you just saying, Free Palestine is kind of the hard take here. And the reason it's the hard take is because the causation, correlation, misunderstanding that you can't say Free Palestine and then the expected horde also meaning that you hate Israel. Like you can't say one and not mean the other, and that's not what's going on here. But that's what makes that so controversial. Is it isn't that it's a controversial thing? It's that in the current environment,
it is.
Right?
Yeah. I will say in that room, you know, you've got people who are going to be vocally on the side of Israel. Whether they consider themselves Zionists or not Zionists, like that's why I say that's a more controversial take. That room is probably more divided, right? They're
on that fact alone. Yes.
You know, like the guy who did the soundtrack for One Battle After Another is either I heard someone saying that either he's a Zionist or his wife is a vocal Zionist. And so like that's a controversial take.
Yeah.
But PTA getting up there in a movie filled with black actors, or a good portion of black actors,
about arrests of Hispanic people.
Right. These aren't these weren't would they have been controversial to the audience, to the like television watching audience?
Yes,
potentially.
Yeah.
But Disney made it clear. They either said it at the pre-show or something. I saw them say like, we're not going to be cutting anything except for swear word, like basically swear words.
And they did end up having to bleep some of them, which I thought was fun.
Which is fun. Yeah, but they were beeping like the word shit. They weren't beeping out political messaging. It wasn't like what happened at BAFTA.
No,
and so like when you get into that, you've got like, so like it wasn't like he had been told don't make a political speech. It's like you made a political movie. You're in a room that would be largely accepting of the political message that it would make logical sense to get up there and espouse. And so that's why I kind of felt like that was fairly weak in that way. And I don't think that everybody needs to make a political statement in their speeches, right? Like, but when you make a political movie that's so overtly political,
what are you doing to just
feels like a cop out.
Yeah.
Like
totally agree.
Like getting, you know, like when Michael B. Jordan, I mean, his speech was really nice. It wasn't overtly political, but it doesn't need to be, because even though all movies are political to some extent, his movie wasn't overtly with any specific politics. The politics, I guess, are like black people are good or can be good. Like black people are equal. Like there's no like
heathens.
They're not less than
humans.
And so so his speech, he mentions the black people who've come before him in that category. And, you know, so like that's, you know, but I don't expect him to be like, you know, Free Palestine or fuck ICE
not the
necessarily.
Same way. No. Yeah.
Not in the same way. But like I expect something of PTA in that sense. Also, something that moving on from PTA and Javier Bardem, one, you know, the categories that tend to be the most political are the documentaries. And I thought the way that they did the documentaries was really interesting, because you have to understand this is Disney and ABC that presented the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
And Disney, I mean, you could not forget that it was Disney, because every ad, every plug was for Disney World, Disney Cruises. It was kind of obnoxious.
Yes.
Which, although I will say, like, they don't seem to care about content moderation whatsoever, because of that. They were just like, we're just going to plug the shit out of our stuff. We're not going to win anything. We're not expecting to win anything. What we're winning is you wanting to go to Disney World and take a Disney cruise.
We're winning your eyeballs after this is over.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So like they, maybe that's why it's a good idea to keep them in charge for a little bit until YouTube gets a hold of it. But yeah, so you can't forget that it's Disney, and ABC is owned by Disney and they're hosting it. So we get to the political section, the section that tends to be political. It doesn't have to be, but it tends to be. And that's the documentaries, documentary short and documentary feature. And Jimmy Kimmel comes out, which obviously, Jimmy Kimmel has a history with the Oscars, but more importantly,
more of a history recently with the current administration
is that he has a history with the freedom of speech issues that he had in September, October, something like that.
Yeah.
So they bring him out. He is not hesitant to talk politics. Although I think maybe they had told him I don't know how much they directed, because I don't know that he said anything specifically, or he didn't call Trump out by name. I did like when at one point he said he's going to be pissed that his wife wife
didn't get nominated for this. Yep.
Yeah, but and so Kimmel I will say that he didn't say anything overt, but he was not subtle, right? So This isn't he was a coward, didn't say anything. It was more like not giving him the time of day to say his name out loud. Instead, I'm going to do it this way. It felt more targeted in a way because of that,
because it wasn't direct. Yeah.
And I liked the movie that won Best Short. It was funny when it was winning. It was called, I'm looking it up because I forgot. 4 Rooms something.
Isn't it still? Wasn't it still called that?
Yeah. It was called.
Well, you said when it was winning, but it had a different name before. Yeah.
No. I meant when it was winning. I thought of something. So All the Empty Rooms won Best Documentary Short Film, and they get up, and most often I don't know what these movies are. Right, the documentary shorts are the biggest of big gaps in my knowledge typically, and the first of 2 winners, the second of 2 winners gets up. I forget. One of the winners gets up because there was a tie in one of these categories, but that was a different category. Now I'm thinking about it. All the Empty Rooms is the name of the movie. Gets up. The filmmaker speaks for a second, and then it goes over, and we hear from. So the movie is about the children who were killed in Uvalde or in school shootings, but one of the mothers gets up and she says, "My daughter died in Uvalde, and she the day that she died, we have not touched her room since. We left it as it is, in honor of her."
Yeah.
And she said, "I wish if everyone could see my daughter's room and see what has happened here, hopefully we would have some change to this problem."
Yep.
She didn't directly anybody out. She just
not
was like,
directly, no.
And she was
more
really,
of a plead. It was more of a plead.
It was graceful. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I thought, because I know that Matthew is on vacation this week at a wedding for a niece, and I assume that Madhavi and his children are all there with him. And so I was like, I don't know that they're going to be having time to watch the Oscars. I was like, I really hope that Madhavi and Leah see this. And that's what my thought was. And then Leah posted about it today.
Mm-hmm.
That she, great speech. And then she posted something about how she's actually seen the short film, and it was great. Because if you don't know, that's their pet political issue is gun violence and hopefully solving / preventing gun violence. And the speech was, I thought, it was, they did a good job of keeping it concise to the point, because I like it when those people that are in those smaller categories that you're not going to hear from ever again get a chance to speak. But I'm also aware that unfortunately the Oscars doesn't give a shit, and so they'll just cut it quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't really get cut. They did it in all their time, which was great, that they got the message out in the time, because it was a beautiful moment. Terribly sad to know that woman lost her child, and that the whole documentary presumably is about people who've lost children in school violence, school shootings. But it was a beautiful moment, and it was kind of the exact thing I like about watching the Oscars. Like, I like some of the like Conan goofiness, but like I've always said, like, if I ever went to the Oscars and won in a big category, I would literally just get up and say, like, I want my time to go to, and I always pick like either documentary short, best foreign film, like one of those categories that you know that person's only chance to speak to an American audience is that moment. And I'm like, I've always wanted to, like, because they always get shortchanged. And they didn't do it to these two, which was amazing. It was 4 people, but 2 people spoke. It was amazing.
And you were mentioning Conan sort of had the goofiness. However, he had a pretty big pivot. You know, tonight is an international event. It can be serious for just a moment. Everyone watching right now around the world is all too aware that these are very frightening, chaotic times. Like, he can still be that giant ginger weirdo, but then, like, real quick, and also, of all of the late night hosts, Conan has always seemed to be the one that is least afraid and most willing to push an envelope or have on that less popular or possibly controversial music act or actor, like that kind of thing, right? He was always that one. Like, Slipknot went on Conan before they went on anything else, if they ever did.
I kind of agree. I think Conan is... Take Jimmy Fallon out of the mix for a second.
Yeah, agreed.
Just talk about the good ones. Conan is the least politically open or outspoken of the 3 main ones of the last 15 years: Colbert, Kimmel, and Conan. Kimmel and Colbert are very political. Conan is not overtly political, but he doesn't seem to weasel out of it the way Jimmy Fallon does.
He won't pull out to try to appease an audience. He will stick to it, but he's not afraid to just talk about things and just be middle and not have to align with any. You're absolutely right about that, which is why he didn't, in his statement, this is really chaotic time, this is kind of dangerous. Like, it was never directly criticizing anything. It was just an accurate statement about the current vibe. It wasn't Kimmel or it wasn't any of the other actors.
And when Conan goes political, in the little ways that he goes political, it hits in a good, funny way.
Yeah.
Whereas the one like kind of overtly political joke that Conan had was, if that offends you, Kid Rock has an alternative Oscars going on down the road.
I love that.
Tickets are available.
Kid Rock Kid Rock is performing at the Dave & Buster's down the street. Yep.
Yeah, tickets are available, which is like, look, we know that this is split, and but do you want to come to the real show, or you want to go to the shitty, like, politically correct show?
Yeah.
And whereas, like, when you're comparing him to like a Fallon will take the like least controversial take on everything, because not only the fake laughter, but like nothing seems sincere like anymore. And there was a while at the beginning where it did, where you were like, oh, this guy's like, I liked when he first started, when I remember watching, he had an interview with Paul McCartney. This was when he was still in the David Letterman like later spot or whatever, like what Conan's original spot essentially. When he was still in that spot, he asked Paul McCartney, he's like, I wrote this list of questions when I was like 9 years old learning guitar that I always wanted to ask you. And he pulled it out, and I'm like, this is really cool. That's like, it's just been too long, and he just got too cynical and not sincere for me. Conan has his Conan is a wacky, weird guy.
Yes, he is.
Conan, you like both Oscars he's hosted now, he's had some really sincere moments. I loved that at one point they were trying to play off one of the person that they were trying to play him off, and it cut to Conan, and Conan just like stood there like, I'm not interrupting them. You better cut back because I'm not going to interrupt them. I loved that.
Yeah.
because the Oscar, whoever the director was like the second they go to switch speakers, and they were keeping it tight too. They weren't even going over, but the second they would go to switch speakers, they would like cut camera, and you're like, well, we all know what just happened. And so, and Conan's like, I'm not gonna. They're still speaking. I'm not gonna speak.
Yeah,
like,
nope.
So I don't have as much of a problem with Conan not like coming out there and being like fuck Trump or anything. I think like he did his job well in what he did. Kimmel came out and was a little more overt, and I liked that.
And then Kimmel did what you'd expect him to do, given their history, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I also thought that the second movie, the best documentary feature, was the Mr. Nobody versus Putin.
My wife said when that one guy was talking down about the current president, she literally said out loud, "I hope you got protection, kid." Like she immediately felt fear that of what this person was saying against not only Vladimir but our current administration, regime, dictatorship, whatever it is, and it was yeah. She's like, "I hope you got protection, kid." I was like, "Well, look at you." Look at you saying stuff about, you know, someone being in danger, because she usually tries to look the other way for things like that.
Yeah, no, that was a really good one too. I haven't seen the movie. The speech was great though, because he was talking about it. It was so clear that he was not like hiding the fact that while he's talking about how they dealt with Putin, or how, you know, what has happened with Putin, and overlooking the oligarchy and all these other things, that he was saying to all of us, you are on this path, like you are heading towards
just something about being complicit or being casual about the way that you interact.
All the little complicities, you know, and it was really like, oh, and it's funny because I think that, like, you know, there's obviously the talk of like, we don't want celebrities to get political and all, you know, and this is just supposed to be an award recognizing people. These are supposed to be awards recognizing people doing good work in film, and like we don't, and then, but you can't divorce the documentaries from the politics. So it's,
but touching on that, okay, do you remember when not Danny DeVito, come on, other Italian actor, that Italian American actor that spoke up for the Democratic cause during the election, and De Niro, there you go. So De Niro doing public speaking events on behalf of a specific political party, to me, is so different than someone doing it in an award show. So when you said get celebrities out of politics, I don't need De Niro to tell me who to vote for. In fact, I see it as kind of performative and thinly veiled, just hoping you like this dude so you vote. Yeah. Someone at an award show, whether it's a super famous celebrity. So Nicole Kidman could have gone up there and said, fuck Jeffrey Epstein, he's such a sleazeball. And I would have, and I still would have liked that better than De Niro literally doing campaign work. Like, that's the get celebrities out of politics. I'm never concerned about them doing it on award shows. In fact, I expect it. I do.
Yeah. But I think that I think a lot of people don't. I think a lot of people
like, you really think it categorically, like, no, I don't want to hear it. You're supposed to be an actor, act. You're supposed to be a singer, make records, don't talk about politics. Like, that's such a weak sauce way to do it.
I think that there is a lot of people who there's a lot of conservatives, even if they're like low-key conservatives, who want to enjoy what we enjoy on the left in a lot of ways. They want to enjoy
all the politics,
without the and there are ways in which they can do that, right? Like, they want to enjoy, I don't want to go see that movie because it's political, but I can still go see movies. I can still do this and that, and I'm not writing off all of Hollywood because I know that, like, James Woods, blah blah blah. And then you get to the Oscars, and it's like everybody's going to be if the whole ceremony is political, it's the same reason that they don't want the Super Bowl halftime the way that because they want to watch the football, and they don't want to hear anything that like reminds them that they're on the unpopular side with people, right?
Which is why they
And
needed a
so,
hug box halftime show
it's also
instead of a
there,
real halftime show. It's the same reason for the Super Bowl.
And there's been they've been talking a lot about all these political or these dating apps having like political biases where both men and women, like conservative men want liberal women on there and conservative women want liberal men on there, and they get upset, or maybe it's not that they want that, but they want the option. They don't want to be excluded, or they don't want to be written off because of their conservatism. And whereas, like, ultimately, like, I mean, it depends on what you're dating for completely. Like, if you're dating to get married, to have children, to live a life together, I don't think it's a necessity to have the exact same politics. But I think that like I can't imagine if Sarah disagreed with me on all the big topics trying to raise Logan, right? Like the big thing we disagree on is religion, and we are respectful of each other on that, because like Logan's been asking a lot about it, and I'm not he'll ask me like, how can you be an atheist if, and I'm like, because this, and I'll answer the questions, but I'm not doing it in a pushy way. But if we believed that some people shouldn't be here and some people are better than others, like racially, and if one of us believed that and the other one didn't, how do you raise your kids like that? And so you get into these dating apps, and they're like, I mean, I think in a lot of times conservatives, maybe especially, I think this probably goes men to women, you think that your partner may come over to your side a bit. I've witnessed it where you might get a middle of the road woman who marries somebody and goes a little towards their direction. It may happen. I feel like it's at least out in the open happens more with women going towards the man than vice
I was about
versa.
to mention,
but I'm sure it happens the other way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that like when they're like, I want to be able to date liberals if I want to date liberals,
they don't want to date you.
They think that they can convert them. And I don't think liberals are going in being like, I think I can fix a conservative. And so there's this problem. And when you look at, and they don't want to be reminded constantly of all the things that we as leftists and liberals participate in. They want, if it's in a moment where they think that they can, they can write it off or shrug it off, it's fine. But then you go into, the entire awards ceremony felt like it was anti what I believe in. And I want to watch because I really liked F1. I really wanted to see F1 win. Or Train Dreams, which I know that you and I have kind of shat on Train Dreams. And it's not a bad movie. It's definitely worth watching. I'm not trying to shit on Train Dreams, but it doesn't say anything politically that would you could recommend it to the most conservative family member or friend that you have. You could to the most liberal. There was nothing controversial about that movie. So like if you're a Train Dreams fan or an F1 fan and you're just like, I wanted to watch the Oscars because of that, or I like the fashion that goes there, because there are going to be conservatives who want to see the glitz and glam and stuff, right? They don't want to be reminded that like, oh yeah, all these people, I hate the things that all these people
had a connection to that Jeffrey guy,
Well, that part of that is like that's how we can justify being on the opposite side of them. Is by like down, but on top of, but when you talk about the people who are not guilty of that stuff, you don't, when you're just looking at the fashion and the glam of the Oscars, you want to be able to think I could go there and fit in and be part of that. And then that bubble is bursted. And now that might be why we don't see too much complaint after these documentaries, is because they're kind of outsiders even at the ceremony. Although, like, do you remember when Bowling for Columbine won?
I was about to mention when, speaking of shooting
Michael
movies.
Moore.
Yep.
So Michael Moore, I think, was a big enough name that when he won for Bowling for Columbine and he got up there, this was right after the war in Iraq started, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, George Bush is a war criminal or whatever he said, that people were outraged. And they were like, this is ridiculous. And I think that the difference there is he is a relatively famous person. Mm-hmm. The two people that were there talking about all the empty rooms. nobody knows who those people are.
Yeah,
It's a politics that where it's,
it
I
felt
think, like
different.
there's just a different, there's a level that's not Brad Pitt getting up there and saying it, or Timothy Chalamet getting up and saying it. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say about that.
No,
But
it's different. It's different when the voice, especially the mom who had the daughter, right? It's different when it's someone directly involved, or like you mentioned, the composer for Sinners that won Best Original Score. Like, he even spoke to it some. And in those situations, we're not seeing, we meaning the common public, aren't seeing this person espousing about how we should be more empathetic or more understanding or less racist or judgmental. We see this as just, oh, look at that lovable composer saying these things. But, like, for example, when I said, I don't need De Niro going up there with a real senator being like, you should vote for Kamala. Like, no, I don't.
right.
I almost am insulted that that's what the party I vote for parades out in front. I understand its purpose. I know why it's there. When we talked about political signage, like, it's not for me. Why do you spend all that money on it? And then Matthew's like, because it is for other people. You're just the odd duck here.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing. I even see that composer or Joaquin Trier saying stuff like that, but it's just different when Brad Pitt comes out and says "Free Palestine." Like, stay out of that.
I also think that the politics, there's that thing that everyone wants to say about everything is political. Like, they've made everything political now, which everything is political.
Always has been.
But it always has been. And the like over politicization of everything I think is the right more than the left, because they're putting this into our kids' schools. And it's like, acceptance is a thing that we want kids to know. And when you talked about,
you shouldn't talk about sex with my child. Are you going to?
Yeah, you talk about Ludwig Göransson, who was the composer who won for Sinners.
Thank you, Göransson. Yep.
His speech, if you took that in any other, if you took that post civil rights movement before the Trump era, that speech is 0% controversial.
Yeah,
I don't think that it's even considered controversial by today's standards. I think it was because it really was like, oh, my dad in Norway or Sweden or wherever he's from listened to jazz music or blues music from
put a guitar in my hands
halfway around the world, people who don't look like him, and he loved it, and it changed the trajectory of his and then my life forever. That's not like the most controversial thing. I actually haven't heard anybody. The only controversy I've heard about that is that, like, some people were like, why did a white guy win for Sinners? And then a bunch of black people were like, that is our boy. Shut the fuck up.
I love that. Why did a white guy win? Did you not see that Coogler got for director?
Yeah.
Or no, it wasn't director. What was it?
Yeah. Coogler won for screenplay.
That's what it was, screenplay. I'm like, it's not like he won nothing, y'all. Let's.
But the comments were great, because they're like, this guy's been doing
this for a while.
He's done all of Coogler's movies, I
exactly.
think. Except for, obviously, there's some Rocky music that existed already, right? But he's done all of the movies. When they went to do Black Panther, apparently he went to Africa and went into to meet different tribal musicians to learn how they were like, this guy is a ride or die of Ryan Coogler, therefore he's our boy. So back the fuck off.
Yeah, love that. I loved that.
And his speech reflected that, right? He seemed just music, and the point of the movie largely is that music is this transcendent thing, right? Music is something that will transcend time and race, because we see Asian people coming through the timeline. We see an indigenous person. We see people from Africa. I think I don't know that we see any specific white people, but the vampires are white and they seem to genuinely like it. The music and like, you know, like this is music is transcendent, and music is it will bring the people together, and that's kind of the point of the whole thing. And so like that idea of that being, you know, like I don't think that was overly politicized, and I think that wasn't. I don't think there's much controversy on that side of things. The controversy is people being like,
the controversy is you just didn't like how it sounded.
All these black people got nominated.
Yeah. Let's. I was about to say
it's really black.
Let's be honest. What you really want to say, you know? Yeah.
So, you want to talk about some more of the? Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you want to talk about some more of the historic politics of the Oscars? But
no, because I don't know them that well, but I bet you do. The piece that I did that I was curious about is, was there, or what was the individual's acceptance speech that you thought was the least appropriate or well placed, if there was any that you really had an issue with?
I think that PTA's was like, not even that it was bad. It was just like
weak sauce.
It was weak sauce.
I wasn't hoping you said that, but I'm glad you said that, because I'm the same. You made this film. You're not known for Conan style, sort of standing 10 feet away. But you made that whole movie, and then you're like, but it's not really what you see. It's the art. It's the topic. I'm like, oh, come on, buddy. Come on, buddy.
Yeah. I will also say, because I just remembered, and I don't know if this is 100% know for sure that this is true, but I read today that the reason why Sean Penn wasn't there to accept his Oscar is because he was in Ukraine with Zelensky. And it's like
doing the Lord's work.
You hired one of the most political actors ever to be in this movie on top of everything else. He skips his third Oscar win. It's the only of the three that he's won that he skipped, and he did that so that he could go do something that he thought was more politically important than be at the show. And you couldn't even give. I mean, and not to mention the topics that you're covering are softball topics.
Yeah,
your movie covered.
It's not heavy.
Maybe not in America in general, but in that room they are softball topics.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Israel-Palestine stuff's way more hardcore, and you can be anti-ICE and not necessarily think that we should just be letting people over the border. Like it's so easy to have the right answer on this. So to be that softball is really fucking like weak sauce, to put it in your and Quentin Tarantino's words.
I don't know why I'm with the dude. It's just a perfect phrase.
It was really disappointing from him.
Yeah. So that is your only, like, come on, buddy.
The only thing that pops to mind that I can remember from the ceremony, and like I said, I don't expect everybody to get up there and be political, but A, you made a political movie, and then B, you do kind of allude to the politics of the world being screwed up. It's the equivalent of being like, nice day we're having here. It's like, say something or don't say something, but don't say nothing. You know what I mean? Like, don't say in the middle there. Like, it was.
Don't make that movie and then fence it.
Right.
That's
This is Agreed. Not And if even if you, I don't know, I just feel like, you know, you've got other people making much bolder statements. You're in a situation. You're in a situation in which A, it's a softball. B, you're set, right? Like, this isn't like a guy who. It's not like he's winning the Oscar on his first movie and he's like, I got to work with these people. I got to try to keep going. Like, this is a guy who is, you know, has been at the height of the industry for almost 30 straight years. Like, Boogie Nights straight through till now has been, he's been A-list for 30 years.
Yes.
I think Boogie Nights might be 29 years old. I forget. Because I think it was like the same year as Titanic.
Yeah.
But like, we're not talking about like Ryan Coogler has a whole lot more reason to be fence sitter.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Chloe Zhao.
I was about to mention she's a good example. You almost could give her a credit for just trying not to ruffle the feathers a little too much. PTA can be like, you're fucking dumb, and this is my award. Screw you guys, like, and be fine.
Now, if I don't like him and Tarantino are like very good friends, and they're very often compared to each other. And Tarantino has not been looking great the last 6 months with everything he's done and said, right? But and Tarantino, I think that his politics would not be nearly as present in that room, as well received in that room as I imagine based on that movie PTA's politics are. Tarantino wouldn't have pulled Tarantino, except for the fact that he might have been like, this is
I don't think Tarantino would have said anything.
I think, I mean, if he made a political movie, I think he would have.
Oh, okay. But if he was just accepting an award, he's not Free Palestine. He's not going to get involved with any of that shit. But if he made a political film, yes, he would espouse the same when he got up to accept. Yeah.
There was some criticism of Tarantino by Spike Lee a long time ago when, because Tarantino's movies all use the N-word a lot.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm going to use the N-word in my movies. And they said, well, Spike Lee says something, and he goes, that little guy can suck my dick or something. He has there's no, like, I'm going to, like, and I remember thinking, like, calling him a little guy is fucking weird.
This close.
Like, yeah. Like, I was just like, oh, shit. Tarantino's going to say what is on his mind, which sometimes that's bad. But like I would rather hear that than hear, like, well, the world's a mess, and I don't want my kids to have to deal with that mess.
Have a stance instead of have a weak stance, and I
especially he has to have seen the criticism of his movie over the last 90 days, right? Like the criticism's been crazy, like the amount of it, like black people are not largely loving his movie. Not to say, black people aren't a monolith. There are black people in his movie that obviously like the movie, but like he's been getting a lot of criticism from the black community on that movie. And you again, you just have like, you could start hitting some of these things home by just doing the thing that your movie clearly wanted to do. Maybe it was clunky about it, but your movie was trying to be, like, if you're going to make a white savior movie, at least try to act like a white savior. Like, at least try.
You're right.
Don't be the guy who's like, well, I don't really have a stake in this. Like, dude, like, do the right thing. Like, So, should we talk about historical Oscars for a few?
Yes, historical, because this is something you're going to know a lot more about from as much as you've watched the Oscars, just, because you like to.
Yeah.
I am curious about these.
The couple things that I want to talk about. So, we talked about the Bowling for Columbine already. And there's always been politics, especially when politics and Hollywood have always overlapped. But some of the interesting stuff to me is when you go into the 70s, which was a really politically turbulent time. You had some real big moments at the Oscars. So Deer Hunter wins in 1978 or 9. I think it's 8. I'm forgetting. Deer Hunter wins, and I want to say it was Jane Fonda. I need to look it up so that I'm not like talking shit about somebody, but it was. Have you seen Deer Hunter?
No.
So it's a Vietnam movie, and it was being protested at the Oscars. Like, they were like, "Don't let this thing win." And largely
year was this?
It was 1978.
Okay, it was still a little tense at that time. Okay,
but it was. I need to go back and rewatch it. It's been a long time since I've watched it, but it's not a pro Vietnam movie, and this is it's basically like the horrors of war, what it does to these men kind of movie, right?
Yeah.
And at the Oscars, people were protesting, and when asked, they were like, "Oh, we haven't seen it." And it's like, how can you protest something you haven't seen? If you think that the movie is the problem. Now, if it was like, oh, the lead actor is a pedophile, okay, you could not see that.
Yeah.
But like, if you're just like, oh, this movie has a bad message, it's like, but you didn't see the message.
So someone told you it was bad and you're just bandwagoning because that's a lot easier than
Right.
having your own take on it in Hollywood. Okay.
Right. Trying to find it. I know that I read, this is a long time ago that I read,
You read something?
I read several things.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Deer Hunter controversy, but
Deer Hunter sounds like a game I played on my Sega Genesis.
well, it's about
That
these
was Buck
guys who
Hunter.
are all, yeah. That's one we should add to Cinnamon, because it's, I don't remember it well. It's an intense movie. It won Best Picture.
Crimino, director, and screenplay. Oh, I recognize some of these names. Okay.
Right. So controversy, yeah. The De Niro was nominated for it. It was great, from what I remember. We don't need to talk about that. There was a lot of controversy at the Oscars about it. The big one from the 70s that you've probably heard some allusion to, which is, I think, really interesting, is Marlon Brando wins 1972 Best Actor for The Godfather. He does not attend. He sends Sachin Littlefeather in his place to accept and to talk about the plight of, at that point, I think they were still calling them Indians, but Native American indigenous people. And that one is crazy because, like, John Wayne was there and someone had to, like, hold him back from attacking her when she got up on stage to talk. And I grew up hearing about this and how, like, he hired some actor to pretend like they were Native American, and she wasn't really because her name wasn't even Sachin Littlefeather, and it's like, well, no, that's not her real name, but that doesn't mean she's not Native American. After her, yeah, they falsely claiming Native American heritage, and that it was all this publicity stunt from Brando. Now, I've seen enough interviews with Brando to know that he was very much on the side of, like, we are still fucking these people 200, 300, 400 years later. And, like, let's, there's a little population left. There are little bits and pieces of land left. Let's not take those things away from them, because they, like, let's try to do the right thing here. He was not, they want to make it sound like he just, instead of accepting his Oscar, sent somebody to do a publicity stunt, and that really wasn't what it was, but it is now remembered that way largely.
Yeah.
Which
another one is Penn Jillette, who's very sympathetic to Native Americans as well. He grew up in a rural town in your home state, so you kind of can see that being the case. It's not just actors and actresses; it's even authors and, like, other people who are on the outer edges of common entertainment. And I like that the Academy put artists only up in here. You don't see other award shows will have, like, newscasters, have, like, co-starring roles to present things. No, give me actors, actresses, artists, previous winners. Like, make it all about them, because then if someone makes a political stance or a controversial statement, I have more of a belief on the inside that it's meant with conviction. It's not political theater. So, yeah. I don't want Wolf Blitzer presenting best cinematography, or Jake Tapper doing best original song. No.
Wolf Blitzer. So I know that, like, his reputation is better than the way I think of him. After the Boston Marathon bombing, like, literally, when I say after, I mean, like, within 3 days, like, 2-3 days. He was at the site of it interviewing the then governor of Massachusetts, whose name was that Deval Patrick? I think it was Deval Patrick. He's interviewing Governor Deval Patrick 100 yards, like, they're standing here
from
and
where
back
it
there
happened.
is the site of the bomb of the marathon bombing, right? And he pulls out that they sent some intern to go get a pressure cooker, and he pulls out the pressure cooker and goes, "You know what this is?
Oh, yeah.
Like such an basically to say like such an easy thing to get and convert." And
I remember this.
What kind of psychopath goes and sends an intern to go buy that? In the city, like, and anybody buying a pressure cooker that day would have been like on a fucking watch list.
Yes, and that kid probably is.
You've got state police 30 yards back. You're with the governor of the state, and you're pulling out a duplicate of the weapon, basically.
Oh, look at this. You want some? Yeah. It's chilly night. Oh, and it's also a bomb. Yeah, that had a huge disconnect from tact and reality. Yes.
Yeah. And so like from then on, I just can't take him as seriously at all. I don't know. I've seen him he's been in movies playing a reporter.
Yeah.
I've never watched an interview. I don't know jack shit about him beyond that, because I'm like, I mean, I'm not like a guy who says you can't joke about shit, but like he was just being a fucking psycho. Like,
yeah.
Like I don't care. Like Anthony Jeselnik posted something about he posted a joke that day. Anthony Jeselnik's a comedian, and it's like different,
And it's
Wolf
his
Blitzer,
brand to be that. Wolf Blitzer is this dude who's on television who's not controversial, and I was like, "Here's a bomb." Yeah, no, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. Not the way. Not the way.
All right. Why don't we start wrapping up? Because we've been going for about an hour now.
So, folks, we appreciate you tuning in to this episode of Talking About the Big Stuff. If you are looking to support us in the free ways, the ways that all of us can afford because you're at least watching now or after it's been recorded and posted by one and or both of us, please hit the thumbs. We would appreciate it. The bell, make sure you get notifications when YouTube likes to send them out. And also a subscribe means that you can set those notifications to be never, sometimes, all the time, or screw you guys, I'm going home, and don't subscribe at all. We would prefer you take the former. The ways to pay us, because we are not yet monetized, we're on our road to 500 subscribers on our different channels, is Patreon. We have a package there where you can subscribe to many different levels. Mike, tell us more about them.
Sure. We get a $0 package, which is still helpful to
There's
us.
A free one
and
there too?
Costs you nothing. Yes, the free one just gets you all the alerts and everything in one simple place that you can also put it into.
It allows you to watch these.
It allows you to watch, but it also allows you to put it into any podcast player. You can watch from there and listen from there. That's the really cool part about the $0 one. Also, then you see anything that we're doing that isn't $0, you're able to see it and say, "Oh, I actually wouldn't mind paying $1 a month to get access to that." Which $1 a month is 25 cents an episode. And you get those episodes early. $3 a month gets you bonus. Anything that we say that's controversial that might get snipped out, that's in the $3 version. $10 version gets you those, whatever we were talking about before we started rolling. Oftentimes that is, it's interesting conversation, or it is us talking about upcoming projects, getting stuff done. It might be like, you might be some insight into things to come. So that's pretty cool. And, again, $10 a month. So $22.50 a week.
Big stuffers.
Yeah, and those are great ways of helping us. But again, subscribing for free is always really, really helpful.
Road to 500, guys.
Alex mentioned that once we hit 500, we can start monetizing, and that doesn't cost you anything. So if you haven't already,
benefits us and only benefits you.
Subscribe. Same thing with Patreon. Go, check it out for free. That way you're getting alerted to anything else that might come up, but you're not necessarily, you're not required to pay anything. So I don't think you have to put a credit card in. I think you just put your email address in.
Yeah.
Anyway, that would be great if you could do all that. Alex, you got any last thoughts?
Yeah. My last thought here, and it's something that we mentioned earlier in the episode, when when one of the actors or the crew was accepting the award, he talked about all those little complicit acts that lead to something bigger. Pay attention to what you do and who you do it with. Pay attention to how you treat others, and pay attention to how they treat you, because we all can get to the right spot, and we can be talking about big stuff that's exciting or big stuff that's challenging, and not always big stuff that's a bummer. We hope you guys tune in next time.